GT Countdown. Top 10 trends of this console generation.
Oh, thank God. I thought you... Oh!
Okay, let's get into the fun stuff.
This console generation has given us 3 major gaming systems, 2 major portable devices, and thousands of compelling games. But it's also changed the way we play through trends that have either dominated the space or sizzled out of sight. It's hard to conceive of this industry without each of these 10 trends. Which culture change proved more impactful than the others? And what kind of new innovations can we look forward to in the future?
Zombies. Groovy.
Number 10. Plastic instruments.
Yes, that pile of abandoned plastic doodads you'll find gathering dust in your storeroom or various donation centers once reigned supreme at late-night living room gatherings. For a time, guitars, drum sets, microphones, and steering wheel Wiimote encasements carved their niche in enhancing the video game experience. While there were innumerable counts of blundered peripherals that either flat out didn't work or drew too much skepticism to their true necessity, even the instrumental kings of this peripheral bubble began oversaturating their own niche. Why it was decided to design a new plastic guitar for each band-specific Guitar Hero and Rock Band is beyond us.
Number 9. Reboots.
When developers couldn't figure out a new way to innovate their popular franchises, they frequently pressed the easy button, the reboot. Devil May Cry, Tomb Raider, Mortal Kombat, Castlevania, Prince of Persia, and many others received a fresh start at some point this generation, and we're sure there will be plenty more in the years to come. Though our favorite heroes carried on the good fight, it came at the cost of originality. It felt like there were fewer new IPs than ever as developers and publishers desperately clung to their cash cows. Sometimes, it's best to leave the past alone and move on. We can only hope the new generation brings us more fresh faces.
I'm still tweaking it.
Number 8. Wireless.
Before Nintendo released the Wavebird in 2002, wireless controllers were generally unreliable, depending on infrared since radio was still too bulky and power-hungry to be practical. This generation cut the cord almost entirely. You can save a few dollars by going for a wired 360 controller, but every Wii and PS3 controller is wireless by default. Motion controls likely wouldn't have taken off if players were tethered to the console. Plus, Wi-Fi has broadened access to online play, since you no longer need to run a spider web of Ethernet cords to every corner of the house.
Number 7. Patches.
The ubiquity of the internet has given us more ways to consume and interact with our games than ever before. But perhaps the most significant byproduct of a constantly connected experience has been the impact of patches on the actual game itself. Though seemingly insignificant, the advent of a constantly evolving playing field has proven to have an indelible effect on players and developers alike, changing expectations and attitudes around issues such as balance greatly. In games like Dark Souls, we've seen developers double back on their creative vision with updates designed to make the experience more forgiving. The metagame of MOBAs, MMOs, and RTSs exist in a constant state of flux, while other competitive genres, such as fighters, can experience hundreds of hours of practice undone by a few simple lines of code. Some games have benefited greatly from tweaks issued over time, while others have fallen because of them. What each developer chooses to do with such a capability is something that continues to evolve today.
You will learn respect.
Number 6. Smaller games.
While AAA budgets may have skyrocketed, this generation also saw the unexpected ascent of digitally released, smaller-scale games on consoles. Some of these games have given the old standbys a run for their money. Thanks to the price points of Live Arcade and the PlayStation Store, we saw shorter, riskier, and weirder games that wouldn't have otherwise existed. Games like Journey, Costume Quest, Limbo, Trials HD, Stacking, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Braid, Castle Crashers, Bastion, Mark of the Ninja, Unfinished Swan, Spelunky, Shadow Complex, Battlefield 1943, Splosion Man, Bionic Commando Rearmed, Fez, Super Meat Boy, Skullgirls, Guacamelee, Mega Man 9, and Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. And Nobi Nobi Boy.
Number 5. High definition.
It's easy to say graphics don't matter and point at the Wii's success and the magical properties of indie games. But let's be honest, breaking away from the tyranny of 480 scanlines was a long time coming, as our pitying PC kin have known for some time. Yes, there were precursors playing around with 480p modes, some valiant efforts with VGA adapters, and the original Xbox offered up more pixels for those who could afford it. But it wasn't until those HDMI cables became commonplace that the world of high definition became a reality, causing those with meager standard televisions to squint at hard-to-read text. Still, this world of visual fidelity goes beyond mere X by Y dimensions. It's also a world of cinematic widescreen, no longer an odd option in GoldenEye or forced through letterboxes in Resident Evil 4. It's a world of surround sound, aural delights rattling around your skull, and even remastered works in the form of HD collections that let the best games from the past breathe another breath.
So now, your hero is back.
Number 4. Microtransactions.
Games used to be an all-or-nothing proposition. If you wanted to add on to Morrowind or The Sims around the turn of the century, you had to buy another box. Now, major releases reach shelves largely incomplete, requiring extra cash to unlock their full potential. This gave rise to added fighting game characters, weapons, multiplayer maps, and even endings. Anyone going all in on one game can now purchase a season pass as both an economical and potentially risky investment. Not to mention the free-to-play model that's blowing up everywhere from the PC to mobile phones, with some games making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day or crowning themselves among the biggest titles in existence. Where will the trend go next? Stay tuned for more updates.
I'm so hungry. I need to find something to eat.
Number 3. Achievements.
Whether you're an obsessed achievement hunter or platinum trophy seeker, or if you just don't care at all, it's hard to deny the impact each has had on the current generation of gaming. Gamers everywhere have pumped extra hours they otherwise wouldn't have into specific games, or played a game in an entirely different manner in search of those last few remaining medals, either for bragging rights or just good old personal satisfaction. Gamers aren't the only ones affected, as developers are now required to implement them into their games for certification, sometimes spoiling story elements when each list of achievements or trophies is released. Are these pats on the back just a trend, or will they follow us into the future?
Let's find that checkpoint.
Number 2. Motion.
We would like to play.
In 2006, the Nintendo Wii planted the seeds that would sprout into a novel way to control games, reaping a bountiful harvest as the brilliantly conceived Wii Sports popped up in millions and millions of living rooms. This massive success inspired the other major platforms to cultivate their own motion controls, but with a few exceptions, the crop that followed was a bunch of unruly weeds. While Microsoft's Kinect was able to obtain a measure of financial success with its unique, no peripheral required setup, and Sony continually pushed forward with their own Move controller, only a Wii Sports sequel could come close to replicating the original success. What some saw as a new direction for the industry proved to be only a minor addition, albeit a financially successful one. While we're sure to see more movement as the next generation of gaming rumbles ever closer, it's clear that good old-fashioned buttons aren't going anywhere.
We would like to play.
Number 1. Online networks.
Be advised, hostile UAV incoming.
The integration of networking into our gaming lifestyle is a shocking phenomenon given the relatively young age of the technology. A generation ago, putting your game online was a rare and spectacular feat, but now, you may be left in the dust if you don't connect gamers in every way conceivable. Xbox Live blazed the trail a generation ago, but it wasn't until the 360 and PS3 plugged in that it almost became a necessity. Facebook keeps our friends updated on all of our gaming accomplishments, and Twitter gives us the opportunity to keep up with our favorite studios and publishers in real time. Some of this industry's biggest blockbusters owe their sales solely to the inclusion of online competitive multiplayer. The jury is out on what this development has done to the industry on a creative level, but there is no denying that this was the trend to end all trends this past generation.
Guess who brought a jet to a gunfight? Incoming.